So when President William Ruto was sworn in and he started constituting his cabinet, among the offices that he established was the presidential economic advisors, okay? So he started with those, the economic advisors, to what he said, help him just understand how to stabilize the economy, because at that point, it was like cost of living is high, the shilling fluctuation, a weak shilling, and so on and so forth. And so he started with those economic advisors. Over time, he has increased the number of advisors and offices, right? He has advisors on health, advisors on agriculture, advisors on politics, advisors on legal affairs, advisors on this and the other, and there have been many advisors. And every so often, we are just hearing appointment of somebody. Now we are calling them senior advisor. Senior advisor, former PS. Senior advisor, former CS. Somebody who has been somewhere, son of a brother of a senior politician, advisor. People have been raising questions about these advisors. Why do we need them?
We must.
Why are they there? One person, one Kenyan has taken that matter and said, you know what, I will take this one for the team and take it forward to the courts. Suyianka Lempaa is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and is a rights advocate. He has taken many public interest cases before court. This is his latest one. He's in court. He's saying, we'd like these offices abolished and we'd like our money brought back to us. And he's here today. We've said, let's give him the mic so we can hear from the horse's mouth. The horse, Advocate Suyianka Lempaa, is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Eric. Thank you for inviting me to your show. Thank you.
Karibu sana. We are shortly going to give you the mic so that you can take us through this. But first, January quotes has the day's quote.
And then I'm like, oh yes, we have the quote. Rebecca Nyandeng de Mabior said in 2005 during her husband's funeral, in our culture, we say...
Please, for those who may not know.
I'm very sorry.
Who's the husband?
Let me read it. So her husband was Dr. John Garang Mabior, right? A pivotal figure in South Sudan's liberation struggle and died in a helicopter crash. Now,
and the first president of South Sudan.
And the first president of South Sudan. Thank you for telling me. Add context.
Yeah,
so during the funeral, his wife or widow said, in our culture, we say, if you kill the lion, you see what the lioness will do. How do you translate that?
If you kill the lion, you'll see what the lioness will do. Of course, she was saying that nature abhors the vacuum, that having killed the lion, of course, you do not expect the cubs to go dying, because nature will abhor the vacuum that will have been left by the lion. That probably would be my quickest interpretation of it. Yeah. Having even had it, not even read it.
I really like the perspectives today. There's something in them. It's still good. It's still a good perspective and interpretation.
It's a good one.
And nature does abhor vacuum.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
There will be one that steps up into that role that was being played by the one that has left. Yeah. So Wakili, you have gone to court and you're saying that we need to remove all these people who are occupying these offices of presidential advisor, and you wanted us to give you the mic. So Akili, shika mic.
Asante sana. Thank you for giving me the mic. Now, we have moved to court. We have been constrained to move to court under one proverb in Swahili that says, ng'ombe akivunjika mguu malishoni hujikokota horini. We have been injured out there as Kenyans, and we have no option but to go to the court so that the court can at least interpret whether whatever we are seeing is right. We have seen, and as you've said, after the swearing in of President Ruto, he embarked on a mission to blot the executive. You realize that Article 152 is very clear. It caps on the number of cabinet secretaries that can be there in the new constitution or in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. I think that is what now has given Ruto, been advised by some people that you can take advantage of some lapses here and there to blot the executive, in that you cannot be told that you cannot have more than 22 cabinet secretaries and you have over 50 advisors who some of them you sacked as cabinet secretaries and then bringing them as your advisors. We are saying that that is being done outside of the law. You do know, and we do know, And all Kenyans know that for you to become a cabinet secretary, you are even vetted by parliament. So these people who are appointed on a daily basis, like last week he appointed Mr. Nakaleu. I think Nakaleu was the speaker to Turkana County or something, or CS there. Today or this week, I think before, are we going for Madaraka or Jamhuri?
Madaraka.
We are going for Madaraka. Before Madaraka, I think someone else will have probably been appointed as the presidential advisor on how to organize national holidays. Because they are coming right, left, they are coming in all shades and be given all manner of names. This is necessitated by the fact that we have a very competent civil service that is created by the Constitution. If you read, I think, chapter 13 of the Constitution, it's very clear on how the civil service is constituted, its ethical issues and all that. We have very competent advocates at the office of the Attorney General, so that it is a mockery for you to go behind and appoint another group of lawyers and put them in State House and call them presidential advisors on human rights, for example. And these are people who have probably not been litigating on human rights, like the state councils. We have very competent state counsel at the office of Dorcas Odur, or the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, whose role, constitutional role, is the chief advisor of the executive. Mm-hmm. So why would you now create so many other offices? Why, when our children in some of these primary schools, in fact, I at one time I watched students learning under tree. I thought probably I should organize a walk from my rural home from Nairegi Yankare to Mombasa to raise funds and build classes for those kids, because education is the one that liberates someone. It's the one that actually lifts you from poverty and gives you some reasonable and comfortable status of living, or standards of living. So those people called advisors, I'm avoiding the word characters, but character is not a negative terminology, because first of all, I actually forgot to pass my condolences to the family of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who has created so many characters in his so many books that we've read. The Petals of Blood, The River Between, Grain of Wheat, Ngahi Kandenda, all those have characters. So when I say these characters, or these people being called advisors, are taking a lot of money from the executive in a government that is complaining that it does not have money. So the appointment of those people is against prudent use of public resources under the public finance chapter in the Constitution. Thank you.
Hapo kwa advisor from holidays. Because I can actually see it.
Yep. How best should
An
we?
Advisor on state functions.
Yeah.
That would be the term.
Senior advisor.
Yeah.
On state functions.
And I believe Eric Latif is appointed on that.
We need that.
We need that one, yeah, to make sure that the functions run well.
Right.
On time, smoothly, and on budget.
At a cost of about 1 million shillings a month.
Budget here being
spare.
like a figure that we just fix. Wakili, you have taken this matter before court. So what is it that what do we call what you've taken? Is it a petition? Is it an application? What is it?
It's a petition. Under the Constitution, Article 165, the Constitution is allowed to interpret whether any action taken by any of these public officers is in accordance with the Constitution. So you can't take an application to court. You take a petition that describes the persons you are suing, a petition that lays the ground on the law that you are using, and a petition that describes the fact leading to your complaint. That's a petition. And of course, the relief that you are seeking, or what you want the court to do. Forgive me for using relief. Maybe that's a very technical term.
Prayer.
Even prayer is such a technical. A prayer is what you want the court to do. If you want a court to declare a certain appointment unconstitutional, that's a prayer. It's a declaration that you are seeking. And if you look at the Constitution, Article 23 and Article 165 and 258, they give the Constitution, the High Court, the jurisdiction to deal with those matters. So I believe we are properly before the court with a petition, and not an application.
Okay.
And after the petition, what will be rendered is a judgment. Had we already had an application that we actually sought to stop further appointments, and we also had asked the court to stop the treasury from paying more money to these people. But that particular, the ruling that we got did not give us those particular prayers that we are seeking, or those declarations that we are seeking. So therefore, all that will be canvassed at the end of it all in the petition, where we'll get a judgment. We have a ruling, but eventually we'll get a judgment.
That judgment, or what was the relief that you were looking for specifically? Like,
we were looking for a relief that the advisors' offices be abolished. We were also seeking the court, or we are employing the court to have the likes of Makaua Mutua and company to refund the money that they have earned unconstitutionally. We are also praying or asking the court to compel the Public Service Commission to conduct an audit on all the illegal offices that have been created by the president, because the people we took to court, 21 of them, is not an exhaustive list. So we also asking the court to compel the Public Service Commission, which is a commission under Chapter 15 of the Constitution of Kenya. You know, there are so many. There are about 10 or thereabout. And of course, we have others that are created by a statute. But if you look at what the constitutional commissions are supposed to do under Article 249, they are supposed to make sure that all public officers adhere to the law, and also they are supposed to make sure that the Constitution is followed to the letter, what we call constitutionalism.
Yeah.
So we are indicting the Public Service Commission for not playing its role, and any other commission. In fact, maybe later you probably invite other speakers or myself to have an audit of all the constitutional commissions under Chapter 15. Commissions are taking a lot of money, but which I can state without fear of contradicting myself that they have been captured by the executive, including here huyu mzee anaitwa Dr. Kobie.
Kenya School of
the National Cohesion and Integration Commission.
Yes, that one is an extended executive or an arm of Kenya Kwanza Parliament.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a constitutionality, the petition. Is it also to take a civic stand against fiscal waste? Is that part of the motivation? Is yes, first of all, there's the matter of going against the Constitution. But number two, is it also important for you to do this because it also takes a civic stand in terms of what Kenyans deserve?
Yeah, Kenyans deserve the best. If you look at the drafters of what the drafters of the Constitution intended, they intended the best. We call it a very transformative constitution because it created those commissions, it created independent offices. And once a commission is described as independent, you expect it to improve the lives of Kenyans. It created an equitable, the constitution meant to create an equitable society so that instead of creating a small clique of people earning billions of money, we use that money to construct schools and to buy medicine and to even construct hospitals for our people. It's very sad that when I was coming in the morning, I saw that a child died in the hands of, I think, the parent because of lack of medication. If, for example, we followed the Constitution 2010 to the latter, such things would not be happening because there would be enough money in counties to construct hospital and buy requisite medicine.
Also, denying someone access to an ambulance in an emergency situation is interfering with their right to health care, right?
Yeah, the right to life and the right to
health care.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Akili, what structure... When I hear someone is an advisor to the president, an advisor to this, under what structures do they exist? So as of now, who do they report to? Who gives them their terms of service? Who pays them? All of those, so that now we can actually question, how do you exist in this weird unconstitutional bubble? So as they exist right now, these advisors, who pays them? Who gives them the terms of service? Who all of that? Yeah.
Actually, thank you very much, because you seem to even understand this petition more than the drafter. So those are the questions we'll be asking. They are values and
join the petition.
Join the. I was going to say, Mariam, you have to join the petition.
they are values and principles of public service, which are well enumerated in the Constitution. Openness, competitiveness, all of them are there under the Constitution. And if you look at these offices, they are never advertised for Latif to apply, for Lempaa to apply, for Janet Mbugua to apply, or any other person. Actually, it's very sad, because nobody knows. Even the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, I think, is not consulted on what these people are supposed to earn. Only last month or last week, we heard that cabinet secretaries who are sacked and appointed as advisors have retained their pecs, isn't it? I think you reported that in the Daily Nation. So we do not know where they get those powers from, because all powers granted to the president or any state officer is granted by either the Constitution or the statute, because a statute is passed by members of parliament who represent people, because they represent the sovereign power of the people.
I have an other side question to ask. Other presidents have had advisors, right? Is there something
across the border here?
Yeah.
Cebu has many advisors. I think over 100.
But even Kenyan presidents, haven't previous presidents? I just want to find out what makes this ethically or legally distinct, this particular.
Thank you very much for that question. You see, the Constitution itself spells out how to appoint people. We have no problem with President William Ruto or any other person, or even Kindiki, appointing his personal assistants. Those ones are allowed. You are allowed, if Eric Latif is sworn in as the president, you can appoint Lempaa as your PA. That one you are allowed. Person, no. But anyone who is supposed to join the main civil service is supposed to go through the values and principle of public service. It could happen in Uganda that they have over 300 advisors. But before you compare Kenya and Uganda, you read the Constitution and see whether the Constitution of Uganda is in parimateria, that is the language that advocates like it is analogous, or it is the same as the Kenyan Constitution.
So it's not parimaterias?
It is not in parimateria.
You're going to use that for a while.
You had to.
It is not in parimateria with the Ugandan Constitution. You can, what this regime is doing is as if they have a carte blanche to reward anyone who pressurizes them to give them jobs. It is very interesting that, very sad, that some of the people who have been appointed are people who have been writing acres of space in newspapers on good governance and the rule of law. While when you are appointed outside of the law, you take it without saying, no, I'm not going to take this because it has been decided that I be appointed outside of the law. That is what Lempaa Suyianka would do.
You can say his name. The columnist we know. The question of constitutionality is one. Others would argue that the president does indeed need advisors, people around him, whether it's economic, whether it's this or that. What if they operate outside of the public service? Because again, we don't have information. That's the thing. So we are assuming that they're within the public service. Just because they are servicing the public, are they necessarily in the public service? What if they exist outside of that?
Thank you very much. Just like myself, I'm defending the Constitution for free. I am not asking anybody to fund me. Although if you are philanthropic enough to fund my movement, you can. But if these economic advisors, these political advisors, rangeland advisors, agriculture and I think artificial insemination advisor, if they are operating outside of the civil service without pay, like Lempaa Suyianka, I have no problem with that. We even have,
I think, insemination advisor?
There's an agriculture advisor. There's a food security advisor.
Yes.
Oh.
All those.
Say, like Minister of Cabbage. Okay.
Yeah. I know you didn't see that coming.
AI is important, Maria.
It is very important. It's just,
You've
Wakili is
said,
hilarious.
though, Wakili,
Yes.
that the Constitution, the laws allow the president to appoint assistants.
Yes.
Personal assistants.
Yes, even the deputy president.
And such personal assistants will, of course, draw a salary from
the public service.
The public service.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a cap to the number of assistants?
Personal assistants. That is what we are saying. Insofar as there is no law to cap that, that opens, gives the president a carte blanche to appoint as many as possible. And we are saying that is not what the drafters of the Constitution meant. You cannot say, because there is no, in any case, if you read the spirit of the, not even the letter, both the letter and the spirit of the Constitution, if this Constitution has capped the number of cabinet secretaries to 22, what did the drafters of that Constitution intend? What was their intention? What was their intention?
To not have a heavy executive.
And therefore we are saying, even if the president required advice, for example, on agriculture, there is a whole Ministry of Agriculture with men and women who have worked there for donkey years. If he wanted to be advised on rangeland, there is a whole ministry. There are so many technocrats. Some of them overpaid, some of them underpaid in the civil service. And we are saying those are enough to advise the president. Personal assistance, for example, is someone who carries your suitcase, and those cannot be as many. But insofar as you are being advised to run this country, the number of advisors cannot be more than cabinet secretaries. And in any case, Mr. Latif and your beautiful two ladies, who is accountable if we have so many duplicative roles being played by advisors and being played by the civil service? And that is actually the question that was answered positively in our petition against NGCDF. Because right now, I believe you know that members of parliament wants to amend the Constitution, of which we are in court already. I am inviting you to come on the 6th for the mention of that petition, where they want to sneak in Article 204A to Article 204 on public finance to entrench CDF and NGAF. NGAF, mnajua ni akina mama, National Government Affirmative Action Fund.
Janet and Mariam will
Janet and Mariam.
Initially, it used to be Affirmative Action Social Development Fund. This year. We went to court, and of course, there's so many things happened in that particular petition. You know, so what the court returned is that when we have duplicative roles in the civil service, it is not very easy for you to oversight, or accountability is lost. Because I am the advisor, I make this decision. The minister, PS makes this decision. When money is spent and you are called upon by the Auditor General of Parliament, you say, I don't know, because that decision was taken by that. So it is not easy for you to, for accountability to be realized when we have so many duplicative roles being played by advisors, CSS, PSS, and others.
Wakili, you know, it's also okay to say beautiful, handsome Eric and beautiful Janet. I'm trying to see the reverse of it.
If I'm not handsome, don't force it.
I'm trying to even it out. So yeah, Mariam, Eric, Janet, as colleagues. I wanted to ask whether whether there could be like a review mechanism rather than blanket sacking, because maybe
there's somewhere working.
I'm really trying the devil's advocate.
You see, in law, you don't go for half prayers. You go for full prayers. A review may not serve the purpose and the nation, because some people have already earned salaries illegally. If, for example, Janet, you are not employed here, or you are employed here illegally
and procedurally.
If, for example, we found out that the certificate you presented here
it's
fake. And or Mariam or Lempaa, if the court realizes that Lempaa has filed that particular petition as a fake advocate, do you say that, do you call for the review of my certificates or the stopping Mr. Lempaa from continued? And in any case, if you reviewed, that would bring in issues of discrimination. Who should go, who should be left? It's all of them to go. They be recruited in accordance with Article 234 2G of the Constitution, where the Public Service Commission recommends if the president wants someone, he writes to the public service, the public service recommends and follows the values and principle of public service.
Yeah.
Right.
Under chapter 13 of the Constitution.
There's a comment on YouTube yesterday. We saw yesterday guys applying for these advisory jobs via praying at the prayer breakfast. I can bet there's someone coming up as a senior advisor for East Africa and Africa issues. Now that we are apologizing to Uganda and to our neighbors. Charles Ndungu says the main advisor to the president or any other public officer and Kenyans at large is the Constitution. Follow it and you don't need human advisors trailing in your wake.
Thank you very much. Actually, you've mentioned something that we were supposed to do today. We did not have money. Today, the civil society or activists, unajua tunaitwa wanaharakati kule Tanzania, we had planned a parallel prayer breakfast. We even wrote, that letter is in, if you Google there, you'll get it. If you go to my Twitter page, Twitter handle, you'll get it. We wrote to Parliament asking them how much they are spending on prayer breakfast. And we asked them when it would be. We were told that it would be on 29, but they sneaked it yesterday. That prayer breakfast in itself, if, for example, you are told how much it costs, your salaries, because your salaries are deducted
right
in taxation and all that, and in terms of whatever you consume in VAT, you'd be so surprised. So I do not think that Parliament or members of Parliament can go to a 5-star hotel and pray for Kenyans. In fact, they are praying for them to continue praying on us.
I see what you did.
I see what you did. Are you collaborating with other public interest litigants as well? Is this a collaboration?
Yes. In fact, after we filed the petition, we've received very good comments and calls. One of them from Eric Latif, wanting to know exactly what this is about. Yesterday, Katiba Institute also filed a petition against the same people because it is blatantly clear that something is wrong. And unless the court intervenes, we are going to be losing money. We are going to be having our priorities upside down. We are going to have children dying because of lack of ambulances. We are going to have children learning under trees. We are going to have all manner of things, including famine. As at now, at least we have had rain, good rainfall in the last 2 years. We don't know what climate change is going to bring in 2026, 2027. At least from 2025, 2024, we have not reported any famine in Turkana or other places. But a country that reads its constitution, this constitution is very, very, very clear. Like another petition that we are preparing, and you can even ask yourself, why would the president appoint a cabinet, someone who has been appointed, elected as a senator, a member of parliament, and occasion a by-election where we spend millions of money in by-elections? While the constitution talks about prudent use of public money. That one is, we are cooking, we are not cooking, we are preparing it because cooking is mischievous. We are preparing it. We'll also be preparing another petition to compel the speaker and the clerk to the National Assembly to tell us how much they used to pray for us. And we do not want their prayers anyway because we can pray directly to our God. We will be doing so many petitions. In fact, if we had money, we would be filing a petition daily because of the malfeasance in this government.
It's good to be
Why do you do this?
Why do we do this?
Yeah.
Because we fought for this constitution. You know, Eric Latif, before I became an advocate, I was a teacher. I was a student activist. I was a journalist activist. You can remember for free that in 2012, we initiated very, very positive reforms in KBC. And we were the first state corporation to go on strike. And anytime I go there, I see a lot of reforms. In fact, when journalists in KBC are talking, they say we have had this number of MDs.
These are the Lempaa reforms.
We have had number of these MDs. This engineer Okundi brought in a lot of changes. Waruru Washira, and then Lempaa. But I was a small rat in the newsroom. I was not an MD. So we do this to make this country better for ourselves and for our children. But because we have majorly lived in a dictatorship, probably we are doing this for our children, because tomorrow my daughter who is in high school will ask me, when all these bad things were happening, Dad, what were you doing? And you know, nowadays, they ask those questions. I wouldn't have asked my father that.
Yes.
But nowadays, they are so brilliant. And they look direct to your eye and ask you, Dad, unalalamika hapa umefanya nini wewe? What did you say?
The Kikombe on YouTube says there should be a presidential advisor to advise the president on how many presidential advisors should advise the chief advisor.
Yes, and to answer your question now from a constitutional point of view, if you look at Article 3, it's very clear that every Kenyan has an obligation to defend the constitution. So we go to court or we do all these things
in fulfillment of a constitutional obligation.
Yes, obligation, and that call.
Right.
To fulfill that clarion call.
I'm asking you that question because there are people like you, Lempaa, who spend a lot, because this is time consuming. It's time consuming for you to look at a matter, to draft a petition, to draft an application, to go to court. It consumes your money to, go and file these applications. It's a lot. And there are those who will just say, okay, these are busybodies. There are people like this one, Magaragi Kenyi, these are just busybodies. They're just litigious. Kenyans are litigious. And that's a dismissive way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
It is.
But just to listen to what drives you is an inspiration in itself.
Yeah, in fact, further to that, I remember in 2019, Teacher Service Commission, another commission, advertised for jobs and put a cap that if you are 45 years of age and above, you should not apply.
No need to apply.
So I used my own money. I went to court and Justice Wasilwa said that it is illegal for you to discriminate people on age. Now, the reason why I did that, first of all, is because I was a teacher. Secondly, I drive a lot of satisfaction when I meet a Kenyan in the street who stops me and telling me that, Mr. Lempaa, were it not for your case, I would not be having a payslip. That is something good that you did. And secondly, giving back to the society. Although at one time, having been an activist, we were told to contribute some money to give back to the society. My response was that you cannot tell someone who has not been given anything by the society to give back to the society because there is nothing to give. Anyway, we do some of the Dr. Gikenye, Okoiti Omtata Lempaa, Boniface Mwangi, to give back to the society. You are not a child of Mr. Latif. You are a child of the global world. Because some of the things we do, like we stopped the construction of coal power plant in Kwasasi in Lamu, that would have had deleterious effect to the people of Lamu and other places. And we are also fighting very hard to prevent Kenya from building a nuclear power plant in Kilifi.
Hold that thought, because we'll get right back to it. I've been needing to vent about that. Wangoj simply said on YouTube, misadvisors. I wanted to know if there's any part of the petition where an argument can hold water that the fact that these advisors have spent so much taxpayer money, yet there is no considerable, like we cannot see the value of the advice given, right? Is that part of your argument? This coming just from personal, like, okay, you have economic advisors, but wamefanya kazi gani? Because we're all talking about, a poor economy, standard of living going down, income going down, unemployment rate staying the same, even when the macros say something else. So is there room in your petition for just saying these advisors, they did not advise well?
You see,
or seemingly they did not.
I believe in governance, even in private sector, there is something called MNE, measuring and evaluation. That's what we are complaining about. There is no measuring and evaluation of what these advisors are supposed to be doing. And in any case, they are doing duplicative work. Maybe whatever they could claim to be doing has already been done by the Office of the Attorney General. You cannot have a parallel civil service earning money. You sack someone, you actually decide that this cabinet secretary or this PS has not been very effective. I am removing him, giving him a lesser job, and then making him an advisor on the same issues. So what are you telling us? That even actually goes to Article 75 on leadership and integrity. But we don't want to go there because that's one chapter that has really been mistreated in Kenya, leadership and integrity. We do not see. But as I put it, the drafters of the Constitution meant very good things for Kenyans. And that is the reason why they even came with such doctrines or such chapters of leadership and integrity. What should a leader, how is a leader supposed to be? Yes.
And how do you behave?
And how do you behave?
Article 10 on the values.
Values and national values and principles.
It's about how we do. I think, and it's important that such petitions and applications go to court because they also create that awareness among the general public. This is just, it's political bad manners. It's what we just call poor political hygiene. When you get to a point where the Constitution has capped the number of cabinet ministers and says you shall appoint up to 23 cabinet.
Not less than 14 and not more than 22.
And you say that's it. But then you see a president coming to announce his cabinet and then he says there's some other cabinet level appointments. Cabinet level appointment advisor on gender affairs. Cabinet level appointment advisor on security. Cabinet level appointment advisor on economy. And then it's followed soon by these ones are now be allowed to sit in cabinet. Even if they are not making a decision, but you start with that they are sitting in cabinet. You've, like you started by saying, Lempaa, us increasing the cabinet beyond the stipulated a maximum.
Yeah.
When you start seeing the gender and even going to Secretary General of the ruling political party can also attend and sit in cabinet, that's just going beyond and operating as if,
yeah, it's your home. I have a question to ask if the petition is successful and whether there could be room to see how best to monitor future executive appointments. I mean, it's already in the Constitution, I suppose, but say the petition is successful, would part of it being coming up with recommendations on how to monitor future executive appointments?
Yeah, we have already done that. We have actually prayed for that by telling the Public Service Commission to conduct an audit of how many of such offices, like Eric, Latif, Janet, myself, and Miriam, isn't it?
Mariam.
Nobody knows how many these advisors are. We only captured 21 of them. And as I said, we do not know how many will be appointed immediately after this show. So what we are saying is that the Constitution is very clear.
Yeah.
Nothing was, you see, I normally tell people that when God created this world, God did not leave any lacuna. The law may have a lacuna, may have gray areas, but creation didn't. The drafters of the 2010 Constitution made it very clear. And even where there is a lacuna or where there is a gray area, you can always read another article that would probably help you to interpret the lacuna.
Yeah, you've just mentioned the Public Service Commission. Do you think this could also be a stepping stone to review the independence and power of the PSC? Because there's also something there, right? There's also something to interrogate there.
If you look at the Constitution, it creates it. And there is a statute, of course, that operationalizes the article that creates the Public Service Commission. It's clear. It's very important. All these commissions, including the good commission, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Independent Electoral, and all those commissions, National Land Commission, all of them, Teacher Service Commission. Do you feel them? Is it would you say that with these commissions, it's different from what we used to have? They have the intention is very important, but they all have been captured. And capturing these commissions starts at the point of recruiting the panel, because the president is given the chance to appoint the panel that recruits these people. And these people are normally given a curriculum on who to appoint. Isn't it? The behavior that Eric Latif is just too inquisitive. That one cannot work with the government.
Day two, they'll just be like, absolutely not. Permanent and pensionable, but not for Eric.
Yes.
You know, Charles Derito, who's watching from Beijing, says, Tune Amos Ganga says, well-articulated conversation. These are the kind of minds that we need in government. Janet Modoni Ouko of the Tunza Mama and Tunza Mtoto initiative is one of, I think, 12 petitioners who are also in Parliament. Are you among them? That are seeking the court's interpretation and then use of Article 1 of the Constitution. When we invited somebody here for Shika Mike, that they're saying, you know what? Let us send let the people be able to fire the president directly.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I am in that particular petition.
You're in that petition as well?
The fourth petitioner. It's being, my advocate is Mr. Kibe Mungai.
Yeah, exactly.
And the ruling, because of course the government put in something we called a PO, preliminary objection. They objected saying that we cannot sue the president because the president has been sued. Now, the ruling was supposed to come last week on Friday, but it has been postponed to sometime in October or September. We are in that, and the question we are asking is if Parliament has been captured, Parliament and the Senate, because these are the two institutions that are supposed to impeach the president and the deputy under 145 article and 150. If the president can activate Article 145 and leave 150 intact, whether Kenyans can activate Article 1 on people's sovereignty and impeach him through a referendum.
Directly.
Directly. That we are in that petition.
We give the mic to Cyprian Nemwamu, who is among your fellow petitioners in that one, and we articulated that. Now, Janet is saying that she's also preparing one on capitation. Basically, just wants the court to compel the government to basically declare how much money is going into education per child. It says
that's a very important important petition. I would like to be associated with it because Eric, Janet, and Miriam, you are here because of the education that you got. Your mother may have naweza kuwa alikula ugali na chumvi. My mother used to tell me that tumekula ugali na chumvi ndio usome. So that being the case, it hurts when we see education going the way it's going. I am a beneficiary of higher education loans board. I used to go there and cause chaos if I am not given. You know, unlike our children nowadays, they don't have the activism. And immediately I got a job with KBC. I was earning 14,290. I went and told the board that I have a salary, although it's not that big. Kindly let me start paying my loan. Reasons I wouldn't even imagine someone dropping out of the university because of lack of loan or funding. It is sad that so many people are dropping out of school. We have actually created a parallel education system. Eric Latif, Janet, Miriam, and Lempaa cannot take their children to the primary schools that they went to, because they are oversaturated. Sisi wote tumepeleka watoto wetu schools, private academies.
Yes.
What does that tell you? We have created apartheid in our education system. And we have betrayed our parents, the Kenyans, for taking our children, for seeking private solution to public problems. The same has happened in our transport system. Mimi mwenyewe siwezi ingia matatu, niko na gari langu, wewe uko nayo Miriam, sio? Eric has a car, Janet has a car. You forgot what people go through in those matatus. You can't even call because the driver and the conductor are playing the music and at the volume that it pleases them. You get it? So many bad things are happening, and I am happy that Janet is Ouko. Is actually taking that route. That is very important. You do not meet a very functional NHIF. You bring confusion in SHIF and SHA. You do not meet a very functional higher education loans board. You start segregating people on account of income and saying this one will get this amount. We used to get good money, and if you do not get that loan, you appeal at the higher education loans board. Some of us would not have been where we are if we did not have a function. And I credit this to Professor Nyaigoti Chacha, because he's the one who put in the structures of higher education loans board. That board should be protected by every Kenyan who loves this country, every patriotic Kenyan must defend higher education loans board for the future of this country. If you do not invest in education, you will lag behind.
I think you should advise. You should be a presidential advisor.
I know. Can I read some quick feedback? You should be a presidential advisor. Thank you for raising that point, by the way. Rahamtullah Omar says, what about a Kenyan version of Doge?
Donge.
Donge. Lenny, let me see. Kibe.
Speaking of Donge, as you're getting the other one,
yes.
Elon Musk has formally left the administration.
Yes.
And Donge.
The Kikombe, this guest deserves longer time. This is a conversation that should be longer and seek deeper solutions. Thank you for hosting. Dennis Mungai, when you listen to advice from 10 people on how to arrange your house, you find the cutlery and Harpic together. They are fixers.
That's
you win.
So
it's true.
Sabuni kwa unga.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now.
We have created apartheid in our education system. Very true. Tuned in from Vancouver, Washington. One of the best conversations I've watched. Ask Wakili if Kindiki, according to Katiba, whether he's deputy president or vice president.
Yeah, let me ask that question. Kindiki is none of the above.
Okay.
Kindiki is not a vice president, is not a deputy president for the following reasons. The very bench that vacated the orders that stopped him from being sworn in were done that by a bench of that had been appointed illegally by the DCJ.
JSC.
And the Court of Appeal said that go and rehear that particular application.
Okay.
Insofar as we are concerned, Kindiki is a masquerader. Is not a deputy president known to law, to the Constitution, because the bench that opened door for his swearing in was illegally constituted. Period. That's the shortest answer I can give to that particular listener.
And we have to have a separate one on that one specifically.
Yeah.
But I told you to hold a thought on the nuclear plant that was proposed. Why have you filed a petition against it?
My friend, if we cannot control sewage system in Nairobi.
What did I say?
Very early on in the show.
I feel so vindicated. I feel so
You feel seen and
vindicated.
heard.
I feel seen
Yeah, and
Continue.
you know what is happening, Eric Latif and company.
And company. Eric, Janet, and Mariam. Wakili.
Yeah, Maria. But we normally call ourselves advocates and company. And the person who invited me is Eric.
Partners.
And partners.
If Janet, you invited me, I would be saying Janet and company.
So, fair enough. Okay,
And Maria.
okay.
So what has happened, if you look at what is happening, because of the abuse of planning in Nairobi, some of these places that were one single houses have been turned into uprises and wherever. And we did not even do what? We did not expand the infrastructure, the sewage system. And when we have just showers, then including nation center floods hapa inje, sindio? It floods. So if we cannot control flooding at the city center,
Right.
Can you imagine the Fukushima Chernobyl disaster in Nairobi?
What about a court-ordered sacking as you filed this petition? Court-ordered sacking of advisors. Can that be issued? Or would that be court-ordered sacking of the current advisors?
It's not sacking. The court cannot order a sacking. It will just declare that appointment as illegal. And what are the consequences of that? Someone vacating the office. It's just like I am saying, the panel that opened the doors for
Kindiki's
swearing in was done by a bench that is not known to the law. So it's null and ni empty. Vile mawakili wanapenda kusema it's void.
It's void.
It doesn't exist.
Yes, we'll come back and say bye, but just coming up, Your World is going to be live from Karen. I think they're keeping it as a surprise. We're not sure what they're doing in Karen. But yes, Winnie and Mikali are going to be live in just a few moments. But for now, I think we can officially wind up on Fixing the Nation.
Yes. Wow, thank you so much, guys. It's been quite the show. quite the show. We appreciate your feedback. Keep it going. Conversations can continue, and we'll of course pick up tomorrow at 6 a.m. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. From myself, from Eric Latif, and from Janet Mbogwa. Have a fantastic Thursday.
Yes, and thank you, Wakili.
Thank you so much, Wakili.
Yeah.
Asante sana.
Lenny says, Wakili helped me. He's a great guy. You sit with him for 30 minutes and you feel as if you own the world.
Wow.
So here is going to your world with Wakili.
Wow.
Suyianka Lempaa.
Wow.
Smooth.
Smooth.